Going blue. We're ready for live. We're ready for the off. We're here. It is. Are we live? Yes, we are live. It is 2 p.m. of a Sunday. And welcome to the Sunday service. It is back again this Sunday. Please spread the word. Get everybody involved in this one. I've just realised that I'm wearing my name. It's right here. I was out with the awesome people from a photography group yesterday who wanted to take some pictures of my cars and of me and stuff. And they gave me a hoodie with my name on it. There's the LB Photography is on Instagram. But I was out yesterday filming the Mustang. The Mustang Mach-E, not a Mustang, but a Mustang Mach-E. And it's really, really good to be back here again. We're going to be talking again today about decarbonising our fleet. But also, we're also going to be talking about a certain report that people are up in arms about from Jim Power and the SIMI, who have sponsored a report all about how much of a shortfall we have right now with electric cars and the rollout of infrastructures and all that. So we get to that report. We're going to be covering that, and I mean the actual report, not the SIMI thing. I'll show you the report on the screen. I actually have a full copy of it. I've read it, and some of it is just garbage. Other stuff is actually real and very good. But interestingly enough, we'll see as the story progresses whether we can actually do any more with that. Notifications flying in from everywhere. Whether we can do more with that. So it's brilliant to have you all attached. Eric Rothford was here nice and early. There's Eric. Doesn't seem like a week since last year. No, it doesn't. It has gone by. It's been rather a strange week with all kinds of things happening in East Europe. And I got COVID, so between all those things, I'm testing negative again now. So I tested negative yesterday and the day before, the evening before, yesterday and that day. So I'm fine again, back to normal. It really wasn't a whole lot. I'm triple vaccinated, by the way, in case you're thinking it gives you any sort of protection. It doesn't really. Not that I can find. Exclusive Auto Club is here. Welcome. Good to see you. Only 325 subs. It's 325 more than we had 2 weeks ago, so that's all right. So please, yes, like and share the content wherever you can or wherever you are. I need to spread the word of this channel because this is an unfunded channel. So the other channel makes money from advertising. So just ads that appear by YouTube on the other channel. But this channel doesn't make anything. So this channel actually takes more time to work than the other big channel does. Nyla's Drawn is here. Good to see you. Glad to have you aboard. What have I drank today? Well, that's the lemon and ginger. Mark, because I feel like I have a head cold still. But I'm just getting over everything. There's Jamie. Derek Norris, good to have you. Mick McCarthy's here as well. Yasmin here as well. It's Ruben Ryan 06. Come on, Ruben, good to have you. Graham Cullen. Calm and sunny Edinburgh. Makes nice changes. You never know what's going to happen here. One day it's perfect, and the next day it's like rain and drizzle, or moment to moment it just seems to be changing as well. There's Jim Shed as well. And Hellhound has landed too, so it's good to have you all aboard today for today's chat. Today, like I say, we're going to be talking about a report published by the SIMI. They specifically said the words independent report on the top of it. And what I'm going to do is just bring up the window here so we can bring that on the screen for you. So there's what the report looks like. Its cover as we're seeing it right now. I will give rid of Hellhound's comment there. So this report is by, as you can see there, Jim Power, an economist, and Jim is looking at strictly numbers. It's a numbers thing that they're actually showing us here. The approach of it is basically where we are now and where we need to be to achieve the targets that they're all talking about. And there's some interesting little points to it. There's other bits that aren't so interesting. Here's a 4-point plan to a clean fleet. So the idea is that I'm going to read this all out to you, but the idea here is that they're going to break this all down. So we can say we have like 4 points, and this is the 4 points we're going to deal with, but there is actually far more than 4 points. Now, funny enough, this report came out and was headlines in a lot of publications, and I noticed that multiple times in multiple days. I didn't feature it at all actually, but multiple times in different publications across the land. And then all of a sudden they were all removed. All the links seemed to disappear. All the kind of suppositions attached to it were disappearing, right? So what are they trying to achieve is an idea that we're going to decarbonize the fleet, as they keep calling it, referred to as fleet, but I mean they want to just take away your ability to buy a petrol or diesel, a burning car, a burning anything, right? So that's, I think, where they're really trying to push for right now, that's cool. If that's what they want to get, that's what they're going to get. Now, Jim makes some jumps to this one as well. I just need to open another link here for 1 second. This won't take long. Hold on. The only one who's continuing to keep it here, or at least the only one I could search for this morning, was actually breaking news. I don't normally refer to breaking news as the one, but it's the one, actually, when I look at it now, when I show it to you, which I will bring it up now in 2 seconds flat. When I show it to you, the name here is Michael McAleer, which is the Irish Times motoring correspondent, motoring journalist. He's the big guy there. He knows what he doesn't know about it isn't worth knowing. Anyway, the headline starts off with needing 100,000 fast charging points for electric vehicles in the next 8 years. The government's carbon emission plan is to go ahead, right? Let's just address that number for a minute. 100,000 fast charge points would assume that all people who are going to use electric cars are going to charge at a fast charge point every day. So we need 100,000 of them, not 1,900. It's where we're at right now. Now, 100,000 charge points is more charge points than there is petrol stations now. I want you to think with petrol pumps. Even if you take that an average petrol station has maybe 6 pumps, that's more pumps than we have now for petrol pumps. I can't see how the magic number of 100,000 has been dreamt up, unless you think that every single 2.5 million cars on the road right now are going to all charge on a given day at a set time. I don't get where he got that number from. It seems to be a crazy number. Honest to God, I don't know how that worked out, but that's the way they are. Eric was wondering why I didn't see any overseas trips. Well, quite simply, I had COVID. I am going away next week, though. I do have a trip next week. But right now, I got COVID there. Like, I don't know. I tested positive on Monday evening, I think it was. But I was fine again by Thursday or Friday. There's Frank Metcalf. Come on, Frank. Rob is here. Jim Sheds trying to truth the VW manufacturers suspended production due to Russia and Ukraine. Well, it's not that they've suspended because of that. They've suspended because Russia would be one of the biggest manufacturers of aluminium. We're very short of oil. Germany's biggest supplier of gas that runs all the plants and runs all the things and keeps everything is Russia. So there's an awful lot of Russia involvement in things. Yasmin says, so we need 50 times more charging points. Where are we going to be? Where are we getting all electricity from? You're right. We don't need 50 times more charge points than we need right now. We just need them in the right places. We need multiple ones. We don't need 100,000 fast charge points. We do need more fast charge points than we have now, but we don't need 100,000 of them. I suppose if you were to count 22 kilowatt as a fast charger, we could probably do it a few more of them, right? There's Lauren. Lauren was the girl I was with yesterday taking pictures of my car and myself, and I'm wearing her hoodie. It's her hoodie here with all these things on it, written JLD Auto Care, and then there's Port Car Scenes written over here, and I don't know what that one says. Shed Works says there, and that's her logo here, and that's my name over there, so it's all covered, easy, isn't it? Anyway, back to report for a second. Also in this article here, the report by this here Jim Power, commissioned by the Society of Motor, says incentives and support are needed to help motorists trade in older polluting cars in conjunction with exponentially increasing the public charging infrastructure, which is sadly falling behind. Now, I do agree that the charging network has fallen behind. That's definitely something I would say is correct. I think the charging infrastructure has definitely fallen behind. It's down to planning permission, it's down to costs, there's a lot of funny reasons around why the network and infrastructure just isn't there yet, but it is coming along. Now, the UK is having the same problem here with the charging infrastructure. They have a lot more chargers than we do, but they're having exactly the same problem in that it's the kind of cart before the horse effect. There's a lot of electric cars being sold, but there's not very many places to charge them, and the UK is far bigger than Ireland. And in actual fact, what's his name from Harry Metcalf, he was going to go electric and then changed his mind and went with a PHEV. He has home charge points, but his kind of driving involves going much further and the minute, as he said again, the minute you interfere with the charging infrastructure, it starts to crumble. That's where the whole thing, the whole idea of how much fun you're having out here doing your stuff, all relies on the fact that you have a charging infrastructure. So therein lies the problem for everybody. And when you have to do it, when you have to use it or go anywhere, you end up having to interfere with it. Now, I'm just going to do a little tweet there. The minute you interact with the charging structure out there is the minute things start to fall asunder for you. And the same is kind of reflected in this report. Now, I don't want to say the report is complete nonsense. It isn't. There's bits of it that make sense. There's bits of it that logically, when you look at it, go, yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, you should actually do something about that, because that doesn't make any sense. So let's just flick over again to it. This is the Michael McAleer's thing in breaking news, is what we're looking at. The government ambition, it says the ambition is clearly to sell 1 million electric vehicles by 2030. Okay, so that's never going to happen. We would have to sell about 200,000 electric cars every single year on year, to try and get near that by 2030. It's because some cars will fail, they'll be traded in, they get rid of them. You've got to recycle it once back into the system again. It's just that number is a headline number, but it's never going to happen, I don't think. Announced within the report claimed the removal of all the cars, replacing them with EVs, will reduce carbon emissions by 875,000 tonnes, which is the equivalent of planting over 1.1 billion trees, which would almost cover the entirety of County Clare. Now look, you could cover Clare. I wouldn't have a problem with that, because I don't live there, so it's not really going to bother me either way. But the problem is, you have to decarbonise the whole fleet. You can't just decarbonise personal vehicles. You must have a way of recycling the vehicles that we've already got. So if you're going to take away all the vehicles we have, no matter whether you love them or hate them, or you drive them, or you're a collector, or whatever it is, if you're going to take them away, they have to be recycled into something else. They have to be turned into something that's more achievable, something long term we can keep, because it seems crazy at the moment. The same applies for if we're going to put all our eggs into this basket of electricity, which is exactly what we're doing. So we are right now, we talked about it last week, right now, gas is at an all-time high. Russians are now at war with Ukraine. Europe seems to be on the side of Ukraine, so that's going to cut our gas supply, our aluminium supply. All those kind of supplies are going to be cut, because Russia will not be able to supply any of that stuff. And on the same side, we're pushing them back out onto this electric, because electricity is generated here a lot of the time from renewable sources as well. But if we're going to move not just all our houses, but all our heating and all our cars and all our scooters and all our bicycles that are all now got battery attachments to them, where does all that electricity come from? Have we got enough of it? That's two things. We probably do, but I'm not sure we have enough of it to keep going in the future. And the biggest part of that is, if that's the case, what's to stop electricity companies just upping the price until they're astronomically priced? There's Hobbs O'Reilly from South Wales. Thank you very much. Shananku's come back again this week. Hello, Bob. Are you testing this on Aria? No, I will be testing that soon. I can't do the international trip for it. I'm on another international trip on exactly the same days. I wish they'd all get their calendars together and start sorting it out. I don't have any expected price in Ireland, but I will be testing Aria when I get a chance in Ireland as soon as possible, but I just can't make the international trip of it. My supplier, says Graham, gets electricity from the UK wind farms. When the price of wind of nuclear has gone up, the cost should be the same as last year. We should be building a nuclear power plant. I've said this for years. Nuclear does good things these days. Bender Boston says, what's the baseline for a fast charge? We classified a fast charger, 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt, 150. There's my problem as well. We have this term fast charger, which used to mean 50, because that was as fast as you could possibly get. But these days we have up to 250 now. I mean, Porsche tested that a couple of years ago, which is part of the Audi group. So they tested 250 kilowatt chargers. So, like, definitely it's not applicable. I mean, you can look at it however you want to. I would class a fast charger as being 100 kilowatt. That's what I would say is a fast charger these days. I would say a 50 kilowatt is like a standard charger. 22 would be a DC charger, and then a 7.4 is a home charger. That's the way I'd count that one. Have you bought a lot of Bronto yet? No, that's not coming. Definitely not now. Anyway, Ryan says, thoughts on diesel prices. Ryan must have come straight in from TikTok. We're dealing with diesel prices as well in a minute, because that has gone absolutely ballistic. Michael Joyce says, hi Bob, how are you? Collected new Model 3 SR Plus last week. Dai's doing delivery. Mentioned they could have over 600 Tesla delivered between February and March. There's a big uptake here. It has been. It's a lot of so they come in tranches, same as most car companies actually kind of deliver in this group, as because each plant serves a different market. So the plant will serve France for a bit, it'll serve Germany for a bit, it'll serve someone else for a bit, someone else. Then eventually they go, this is UK and Ireland, we're going to give them then. So there'll just be a big ton of them will drop in. But Tesla's the one that everybody goes, it's a no thought. So you just kind of go, yeah, Tesla's good, click, and you've got it. You just join a group of people who are already getting it. So there's no need for real thinking in it. And plus they make this streamlined so perfectly well, the buying, purchasing of what you can do with them. But Model 3 is still a lovely car. I think it's a great little yoke. Always has been. Best software out there still. Rob Jarvis says, what about buses, trains could become electric? Surely that would make sense first before pushing new EVs. That's where I am as well, Rob. Really, we have to go from the top down. And I understand that the Gardaí have gone, or are going electric to some degree. We're also going, like buses have gone hybrid. That's like a flash in the pan. There was like a small little moment. Everybody went, oh wow, they're getting hybrid diesel buses. Well, they're still diesel though. And then you look at where else we could talk about, which is definitely diesel trains. We've had electric trains for years. The Dart has been electric train since the 70s or 60s or whenever it was 70s, I think it went into. So there's so many other things, like Rob says, that we could be looking at before we start driving everybody really hard like we're doing right now. And it's like, you know, we even frame it or call it a new wave, the wave of electric cars running through. It's like this invasion nearly, you know, it's like a weird invasion thing. But there's definitely work to be done where we can change things over. Philip is asking, do speed vans focus on certain lane of motorway? No, speed vans can do 5 lanes across, 6 cars deep, both sides of the motorway at the same time. They don't focus on anything. It's all a lane, all at once. There is no focus on it. Sorry to inform you that burst your bubble today. 2006 7th edition Mini GP sold for 22,000 in Prestige Autos this week. I'm not surprised. The price of all second-hand cars has gone through the roof, and even bad ones are fetching big money. We'll be looking at prices in a few minutes. Actually, when we get into the second half of the show, we're going to be going through some done deals, prices and puts that we picked up as well. Plus, warning, next Wednesday I'll be putting on a video. It's going to be quite a controversial video about the car industry and what it's doing to itself right now and how the consumers are really being ripped off. I've been working very closely with 2 organizations on this. It's kind of an expose, which I had to give the breaking news to another organization, but I worked with them too. So on Wednesday I'll be publishing a video which will put a torpedo in the second-hand market pretty quick. But that's okay. It's all right. Don't worry. It's on behalf of the consumer. Now it costs only 100 quid to fill up for a quarter tank full of diesel. That's cheap. I'm sorry I'm driving a Lexus NX450H again this week. Do you have a new video coming out soon? I do. I think I filmed one on it there somewhere. Thoughts haven't changed much. It's still a bloody good car. Doors are very frustrating. Those pressy door things, to just overcomplicated. Didn't need to go that far. But diesel prices, petrol prices, yes, still rising, still going up. They're not going to go back down. I don't think it's going to go back down in the near future. I think it's going to be stuck at that kind of price, and maybe up to €2 a litre as we kind of progress into this conflict in East Europe. And in case you're wondering why that's paying attention, why Eastern Europe has any bearing on how much we charge for petrol and diesel here, it's quite simply that the Russians provide oil to the whole market. So we don't necessarily buy Russian oil. We buy it from a pool of oil, and the Russians provide oil into that and gas into that. And so now we're economically we're attacking Russia. They're attacking physically, but economically we're doing it, which means that oil supplies will fall and to drive the price up a little bit further. So it's coming. It's going to keep on coming at the moment as well. Aid says he missed the service last week because of power cut. that's a ringing endorsement of our nature right here. Surprisingly plays quite nicely into the report we're reading at the moment. A power cut last week, he missed it. Anyway, getting back to this little report thing. So So if I flick over, I'm going to show you something here, which is economist Jim Power, who co-authored the report, said to sell 945,000 electric cars or low-emitting vehicles by 2030 in line with government policy is extremely ambitious target. That means it can't be done. That's what he really means by ambitious. Ireland has a relatively small right-hand drive economy and a slower and smaller supply chain with around 120,000 new car sales per annum pre-COVID-19 and an average car fleet age of 9 years. So if you start thinking about a 9-year-old, so if everybody changes their car every 9 years, right, we have less than that left to kind of push through. Like 9 years means everyone's going to have to rotate through a car every 9 years. We are massively subject to global movements of trade and employment. We're not the priority when a car company goes into manufacturing over in the Czech Republic or over in Germany or over in France or Korea or wherever the cars are coming from. Ireland is not a priority. We are secondary to the UK. We seem like a priority because we're so closely intertwined with the UK market. But realistically, we sold last year 104,000 cars, which I'm going to go through the car sales just to see. I'll show you what I mean. Just to see how quick it's turning over for us, because I can actually show you real statistics from across the land. So what we're going to do is just change it all to year 2021, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. So we're going to fade over to this, and just to give you the idea, this is motor stats as part of bp.ie. This is directly from the SIMI. This is not a report. This is the SIMI figures that we all talk about every single year. This is car sales. You can see in January we sell most of our cars, followed by a big blip in July. So the two blips, and July last year was actually bigger than January. This is 2021 we're only looking at now at the moment. So total sales last year is 104,932 cars. And that was an okay year. According to what everyone said to me and what everyone talked to me about, that was actually an okay year for car sales. 120 is very good. 250,000 is probably the most amount of cars, or 230,000 I think it is. The most amount of cars we ever sold in a year was 1 year, and that was way back in like 2006 or 7 or something. Long ago. Anyway, back to SIMI. Top selling brand in the market was Toyota, Volkswagen, then Hyundai was third, Skoda's fourth. Amazing to see Skoda come up on there. Ford, Kia, Peugeot, Nissan, BMW, Audi. Why am I mentioning those names? Quite simply, that's a hybrid seller, doesn't sell any electric cars whatsoever on the top of the chart sales. There is a new electric car coming out, but not included in those sales. Skoda only entered the market in the latter half last year. Ford have not sold any electric cars up to now when the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Kia's in there, alright. Peugeot just started selling them last year as well. Nissan has sold electric cars all along. BMW hadn't got any last year, and Audi just brought on a new one. So to put into context that we're really only seeing the beginning of actual multiple car sales in electric. So 2021 would have been a good year to see what's going on. But let's see what actually sold. Hyundai Tucson, number one, not electric. Corolla, hybrid. Yaris, possibly hybrid or petrol. Tiguan, diesel more likely. CHR, hybrid. RAV4, probably hybrid. Skoda Octavia, diesel. Volkswagen Golf, could be diesel, could be petrol. Focus was petrol or diesel. And Sportage, petrol or diesel. So that's your top 10. Not to burst anyone's bubble, but that's the top 10 cars sold, right? The majority of those cars are in, so if you look at the two numbers here, tax band A3 and A4, so 27,000, 20,000 respectively there. 15,000 A2, 13,000 A1, and then 8,741 in A0, which is where the electric cars live. And that pans out true as well in the actual sales. So what I'm going to do is just flick away from all that stuff, and we're going to look at what actually sold as per engine. Diesel, number one, 35,000. Petrol, number two, 33,000. Now there's only a little bit between the two, so look, it's 33 and 32%. Petrol electric hybrid, that means hybrid, what we're talking about there, is in the middle there at 17,000. That includes all hybrid. And then we have full electric. Okay, so full electric is 8,646. That's 8.24% of the market. Then you have hybrid, diesel hybrid, petrol gas, diesel hybrid electric out that, right? So if we take it to be just BEV, not take out the plug-in hybrids and the other weird hybrids we got out there, because that'll make up another 7% of the market, but just pure electric cars, you're talking about just a shade under 9,000 cars or so last year. Now this is only 2021 that I can base this on, because we don't have a full year's trade, and because of COVID we don't really have a good clear year to worry about at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just change the comparison year to this year so far. So far we've only got obviously January sales figures to go on. 25,000 cars ish in January has been sold here. Again, Toyota leads the way on the top of that. Hyundai second, Volkswagen, they haven't really changed any place. But let's just look down here at the very bottom, where we'll find out where hybrids, petrol electric hybrids are there. Petrol is number 1 now, diesel is number 3 now, and electric is number 4, 2,700. So 10, nearly 11% of the market is now electric. Now that's a difficult figure to deal with, and I'll tell you why. Because there'll be leftover orders from last year that are being cleared out this year. As you've seen a few minutes ago, we read out a comment there that said that we have 600 deliveries to do on Tesla this half of the year alone. That's where that matters. So it's not a little bit weird to start looking at 10% of your market now is now electric, and that's going to continue, I think. Philip Shannon says, heard a lot of car companies setting up factories in Africa for combustion engines, as Africa don't want second-hand European EVs. Depends on what country in Africa we're looking at, but there is certain amount of diesel and petrol manufacturing that happens in Africa anyway. It kind of dribbles over into that area, and it's been working for quite some time, and it's doing quite well out there. The middle of Africa, we're talking about Congo area, that kind of space in the center of it is the ones that don't want EVs at the moment, because they don't have like first world cities to deal with just yet. They're getting there, but they don't have necessarily first world stuff to do with. South Africa is moving very quickly. They want to move into all kinds of stuff. North Africa, Libya, Morocco, Egypt. Egypt's pretty first world. Morocco is not that first world, very touristy. So there's a mix. They'll catch up on us eventually. Right now, second-hand EVs, the only one that wants them is Europeans, because there's none. Hi Bob and gang, how does a 9-year-old average fleet in Ireland compare with other countries? We're about the same, Brian, to be honest with you. It's 8 years in the UK. France is older, tends to be more like 10 to 11 years. Germany's decidedly younger, more like 7 years, but that's because their turnover on cars, finance cars, is a bit like ours with PCP. You'll find that our average fleet will start to go down with PCP ownership improving all the time, because PCP is now responsible for something like 60% of the new car sales, or 70% of the new car sales. It's a lot, and that encourages changing every 3 years. Which is not good for the environment. As many times as I say that to someone, to go, well, why don't you be worried about car sales? I don't sell cars. I don't care whether you buy cars or not. That's not my problem. My problem is we are polluting the environment by continuing to making brand new things, and then encouraging people into all these brand new things all the time, every day. That's our problem. Rob Jarvis says, do we need as many charging points? Most houses shops are going to have charging points. So say you go from Galway to Dublin, charge at a house shop for visiting, cheaper than public charge point. Well, the problem is there, Rob, charge. So I have the Ford Mustang. Oh, you never know it's a Ford. It doesn't say Ford written on it anywhere. But anyway, it's the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which is an 80 kilowatt hour battery in it. Or is it 90? It's a big battery that's in that car. Now, when I plugged that into my house yesterday, 7.4 kilowatt hour charger, the thing said it was going to take 7 hours to charge. 7 hours sitting there. That, like, unless I've stopped somewhere for the rest of the day, I don't think you're going to stand still for 7 hours to get it back up to 100%, or even up to 80, right? So I stopped at about 5 hours to 80% and left it at that. It was fine. And I've driven about yesterday, went for a drive, I went down and did work with the guys in the photography crowd, did all that yesterday and had a good old time. But it needs a charge again today. So you go to a fast charger, I'm going to have to charge maybe 2 hours at a fast charger to get that back up to 80 or 90%, because it's just such a big battery. So really, we need more efficient battery technology to go further for less money. That's, I think, more where we need to go than having multiple like loads of 7.5 kilowatt hour chargers. Plus, most of these cars, they put in such small bloody charger units into them that they only take 7.5 kilowatts unless it's coming from a DC charger, a big charger. Craig Breen had an off in SS2 in Rally, Sweden. However, he got his stricken Puma back to the service, managed to claw his way back up to 7th with a stage win on 11. Well done to him. Oh, Craig Breen is driving today. That's good stuff. Thank you very much, Jim Shed, actually. Now I see that there on the list. For donations by PayPal and Patreon. I'd love you to spread the word. The most important part is to get fresh subscribers to the channel, new subscribers, and the old guys who used to come every Sunday who haven't got the memo yet about turning up for the new Sunday service. Some of the same old faces are here. Some faces are brand new. Never seen these before. Richard H says, hi Bob, I was going for a used EV, but the price of a home charger is high and EV insurance is a lot higher than my 4B Max. I like Zoe 40 kilowatt hour, but worry about NCAP for 50 kilowatt hour. Great show. Well, you see, it's very hard for me to recommend as a journalist to say that someone should buy a car that has 0 stars in the NCAP rating. And I know, but it's a great little car, and I've driven it. It's a nice car. They moved an airbag in it, and then the tests have changed as well. So it's not necessarily unsafe, but that's not I can't make that call. I'm not a car engineer. I don't test these cars for crash purposes. That's what the NCAP does, and they say 0 stars. Which means I would hate to think that I would recommend someone to get into a car, then they crash and something really bad happens, and it's because it has 0 stars. So, but it's a good car. Home charger prices have been fairly stable. They've been about 1,000 to 700 to 1,200 quid, give or take, pretty much all along. You kind of do what you get what you pay for. The better ones will have a wireless app that you can monitor how much charge is going out in your car to give you numbers and facts and figures about how often it's used and some detail on it. The kind of cheaper, more affordable ones probably won't have an app to go with it, but they still all charge a bleeding car. It's more down to fitness. Fitness has to be done very professionally. It's new cables and trunking and stuff on your wall. You might not like that kind of boxy white trunking. If you don't like that, you're not going to like home chargers. You can get nice tidy jobs done on them these days, but make sure you hire a proper electrician to do it, because you are charging a massive car outside your door attached to your fuse box. And there's been reports, and I've seen them, multiple users going on to various Facebook forums and publishing themselves as if they've got some sort of qualifications to install these chargers, when some of them are nothing. They're just ordinary people out the road. They're not electricians. They're not trained to do this. And I definitely don't recommend you getting someone like that to do it, even if they seem cheap. This is a massive undertaking. It's your house. These things heat up. They can cause fires. They can cause problems in the house. They can short circuit stuff as well. And plus, if you have an electric shower, which I have an electric shower in one of the bathrooms here, you're supposed to put in a special kind of a switch that turns off the car from charging, because the shower will come on. And there's all kind of, just be really, really, really careful on who you're choosing to put in your charge point. Des Mulhare is the one to put in here. I'm not sponsored by Mulhare Electrical at all. They don't sponsor this channel. But he's the one to put in the unit here, and has given me great support for the last few years on all kinds of questions. I could ring Des in the middle of the night, like something would get me wake up, and I go, what am I after thinking of there? I'll ask Des. VW Tiguan made Mexico, shipped to Germany, then on to Ireland, and they're giving out about emissions. Well, that's the same for Teslas. Up until Tesla make the factory in Berlin, which they're working on right now, all Teslas were made in California. So all of them worldwide, wherever you bought one, it was made in California. There was only one factory. So they're shipped across the US onto boats over on the east coast of the US, and then shipped over to Rotterdam, charged there on the docks. I've seen the chargers on the Tesla charger thing on the docks, and then they're shipped onto a boat and brought up to us. That's how we get them. So the CO2 levels of a lot of these cars before they ever get near you is already massively high. That's not taken away from, they're still good cars, nothing particularly wrong with them. They're still interesting enough cars. I had another, I wanted to show you something else. So back to 2015 for a second versus 2021. I want to show you on this. We'll come to that in 1 second. Still a massive raw material shortage impacting manufacturing. Car build rates are not going back to pre-COVID rates anytime soon, do you think? No, they won't. We're going to be now short of aluminium because of the war with Russia. Russia will be one of the biggest producers of aluminium in the world by far. So we're going to be short of aluminium, which is pretty much everything. Even the internals of batteries now have aluminium in them. So pretty much everything is aluminium. Lithium is not quite as required anymore, but there still wouldn't be as much production of it anymore. Battery technology and batteries themselves often are made in China, and so is the motors and the raw materials. Instead, the motors come out of China. China supports Russia. We're back again to a sort of a circular conundrum here, where Russia and China will be working together, or seem to be working together on things. So we're not going to find cars being outputted at the same rate really for the next few years, I don't think. Greg Cohn says, have you had a drive in a Mazda 2 or a badge Toyota Yaris? Anything other than a badge change? Mazda don't tend to do anything to the car pretty much other than a skin change for their cars if they take it in from someone else. They don't tend to do a whole lot. They just can't afford it. The reason they've done it is because they just want to do it, leave it alone. I am on a Mazda trip next week. I can't talk about it. I've signed an NDA and everything. Anyway, I'm on a Mazda trip next week. I got to go look at something over in Frankfurt. I can't talk about it in the studio, and I got into the designers belong to it. I can't talk about them either. It's weird. It's a weird old life I live, I have to say. It really is very strange. What I wanted to show you while I was here is the SIMI figures. So here's 2021 is the kind of an orangey, I don't know what you call it, peach color. Then the grey line is 2015, 2 comparison years. So you can see we are essentially down overall. We're down by 15% of car sales, nearly 16% of car sales from 2015, right? So that's before pandemic, now pandemic, right? That equates to 20,000 cars. If you look at we sold 124,000 cars in 2015, 104,000 cars there. But the kind of interesting figure is how fast it's gone to electric. So here we are. Diesel is down 60% on the year. Petrol is nearly broke even, weirdly, because petrol's coming up. But diesel is down 60% in those same time. Petrol electric hybrids are up by 1,110%. But electric is up 1,755%. Only selling 466 units in 2015, selling 8,646. Now, you could jump on that as celebration, and you'd be rightly to do so, because that's great. We've got new cars in the market. It's brilliant. But realistically, that figure means that there's just more electric cars for sale. So more brands now have an electric car than ever before. But you can see the drop of diesel by 60% in 5 years has been quite a dramatic fall for diesel. That's down to 2 things. One is people are just choosing less diesels, as they should have done all along. We've said that multiple times here. People shouldn't have just been buying as many diesels as they were before. But also we needed a bit of a refresh on everything we were doing out there, really. That's all it comes to. Hi Bob, is the Aura Cat coming to Ireland? I don't know, actually. I've heard absolutely zero about it coming to Ireland. It will come eventually as some sort of version coming in from the UK. That's kind of par for the course these days. We get some version of it, but whether it actually comes here as a dealership here or not, I'm not too sure. Even MG is looking shaky at the moment, because you could open 10 dealerships in the morning, but you can't get any cars. There's the biggest problem. Is you can't get any stock to have in your dealership. There is some used cars making their way in though. James Wilson, hi from sunny but cool Enniskillen. My Jeep Compass is off the road for 4 months waiting on parts from Austria. Bloody hell. That could be a long wait for that one. Austria's a bit far east. But yes, the conflict in Ukraine is going to cause all kinds of supply issues for us going into the future, and currently, because the more stops we see, and like you can even see, which I was looking at the other day, which is Flight Radar. I keep showing you different videos, different places to look at, but I'll show you something here which is quite remarkable and stands out to me as what's going on right now. Can you not see the flights on this now? No, it's only on mobile, I think. I don't think you can do it on desktop. You have to be pro thing to do it on desktop. But anyway, if you look on your mobile thing, Flight Radar 24 at the moment, you'll see. Oh no, here it is. It's loading in. You can see that the Ukraine currently has no flights in the area at all. So just fade over there. There you go. There's the Ukraine. Nothing in the air. There's all the flights that are happening over here and all around the edge of Ukraine. But absolutely nothing flying into this airspace here, this massive space left out in the middle of it. So you can see a complete blank as flights leave Moscow, and they immediately turn out here to to the west and are heading off down that direction, coming up from that direction. Anything that just takes them away from this area. It is quite scary to look at. That would have been full of traffic at one point, but right now it is completely empty over the airspace. Now that also will affect trade and things that are just coming out by truck. I mean, you think anything that was manufactured in Ukraine was called the breadbasket of Europe. So all grains, I think they make 60% of the world's supply of grains in the Ukraine, because it's huge amount of field area, huge amount of farmland area. So that would have been a huge problem as well, in that grains would have been coming out of Ukraine, and we would have traded into the Ukraine for all kinds of things. But right now there is nothing going in or going out aside from people and bombs, and that's pretty much the whole lot at the moment. But if we're looking back at our SIMI thing, which is what we're trying to do here, we're looking back at a report as well, which is reducing national fleet emissions, which I find some of it is okay, some of it's a bit comical. This is back to Jim's actual report. So this is electric vehicle targets in Climate Action Plan 2021. So in 2018 they were talking about 2,000, 2025 175,000, 2030 845,000. Look at the jump in 5 years. 5 years. That's what the jump is like. But delivery vans only 95,000. Low emissions trucks. You notice that they don't put in electric trucks, just low emission trucks. Does that worry anyone? No. Electric buses, none. 300, 1,500. And total EVs, low emission vehicles, 945,000. So 845,000 vehicles have to come from the passenger sector, which is you and me and everyone else out there who drives to work every day. Considering the price of petrol and diesel at the moment is at an all-time high. According to the AA Ireland, at the moment, good friends of the channel here as well, we're looking at very, very high rates, the highest possibly for the last 20-something years in this country for petrol and diesel. And diesel is now getting over the kind of 170, 175. Petrol's over the 180 mark. Premium fuels are up around the €2 mark. So the premium long range and long life and all those kind of ones, they're up the same sort of thing. So Jim goes into another little detail here on the progressive new car sales scenario. So if we're looking at new car sales and the turnover of cars, from 2022 to 2030 here is what we're talking about. 1.270 million was what's required to continue going up. So if you start looking at those kind of numbers, you start getting a very, very you'll have a very weird feeling about where this is going to end, because I can see why they're talking about trying to get down the pollution. That's cool. I don't have a problem with any of that. But where they're getting those numbers from, I'm not too sure. How they can make those numbers even come close to where we're supposed to be is going to be one of the toughest asks, I think, of the general public of Ireland ever to try and get there. If we fade back to a report which was published in breakingnews.ie, there are 1,900 chargers installed at 800 sites across Ireland, with the current number of EVs of just 47,000. That's the total amount of EVs on the road. He says we need 4,700 chargers right now to serve those 47,000 EVs. I don't agree with that. That number is crazy. How do you come up with that number? There's no way you need that many EV charge points. I've been at multiple charge points in the last week because I've had a Skoda Enyaq and I've had I still have the Ford Mustang Mach-E. I haven't seen another car charging at any fast charge points. There's choke points. There's certain areas of the country that choke because they converge. A lot of converging going on there. But realistically, we're not looking at queues right now. So how do we have, there are only 1,900 chargers and we don't have any queues. We should have 4,700 chargers. That doesn't make any sense. So that's what I mean by some of these numbers in his report just don't make sense. They just seem to be a sort of a guesstimate. Every electric car needs one half of a charge or some crap, and they come up with some number of it. But it doesn't work out that way. We also need to deal, they say, legacy fleet, as if we're just going to dump all the cars we have into the ocean and go, that's a legacy fleet dealt with. The biggest problem I have with the legacy fleet is, what do we do with those cars? We just can't stop producing them. It just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out to stop producing those cars every single time, and then just stop doing things with them, like stop using them. And I get there's cars that go for scrap the whole time. This is quite normal for cars to head out to scrap, but just doesn't, like, looking at them, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to think that we're just going to ignore them, that they don't exist anymore. It doesn't make any sense, you know. Billy says the EV targets are impossible to hit. Even if Ireland had 100%, it wouldn't make any impact on the world. The green agenda is important. We need to follow the big countries. They won't follow us. Billy makes some good point there, in that we could literally turn into a net carbon zero economy, the whole economy, where we're not emitting any CO2 emissions today. And it wouldn't make the smallest little bit of a difference to the whole world economy as regards as to how much CO2 emissions we put out. We'd have clean air for sure in Ireland, but that's about as far as it would go. I'd like to know, do you agree on that one? Because that's a difficult decision for anyone to understand or undertake, because if you don't understand what I just mentioned, all the amount of people out there right now who are putting out CO2, if we all just stopped, what difference does that make to the whole world? Is that going to change anything for us or change anything for them? A clever company is needed. I'm just going to get back to my proper screen there for a second. I screwed up. Anyway, a clever company is needed that can start producing EV conversion kits for replacing existing vehicles that would take decades. That'd be good, Graham. And probably the problem is getting enough batteries. See, even car companies who want to make new cars are having problems getting batteries to make the cars with. So you can understand it to be a massive drawback waiting for second-hand cars or second-hand stuff, or even brand new battery packs to fit your car. It's totally possible, and it's my dream, my actual dream, that we would stop throwing these cars away all the time, and we would recycle the engines and the oils and the fluids and all that stuff out of our current fleet of cars, and they would be replaced with an electric car version of the same car. So all cars would go electric. You just electrify the fleet you've already got, rather than this imaginary million cars we're going to have on the road by 2030, because that's what it is, imaginary. Hobbs already says, over here in South Wales, some people panicked buying fuel the last couple of days. Some pumps were empty. That happened here a couple of days ago. There was word got out it was all going to go up by 15 cents overnight. Somewhat true, actually. It kind of followed through in the end. But it has gone up quite a bit, and people were a little bit of panic buying. Even my wife filled the fuel tank of the car. I said to do it on the way home because I knew it was going to go up overnight to some degree a little bit, and you might as well buy it while it's still cheap. But it has already gone up, so you're not going to really save anything right now by buying it. But I know Rob Jarvis says, I know where the numbers of EVs are from. From Dreamland. But there is an element of how many EVs are being sold every year. The numbers are going up. They're not going up in an actual massive, meaningful fashion, because we're stuck. We can't produce enough of them. No matter what happens, no matter what incentives happen out there right now today, there isn't. There's not enough capacity in the market to produce more than we're already producing. I think we're already at about 100% of our capacity for producing all cars, no matter what it fuels them, no matter what's under the bonnet. And if you look at our sales charts right now, this year, it's not right now, we're at 25,000 cars. And if I compare that to 2021, we were at the same last year, thereabouts. We were at 20, we are actually basically the same. So if I fade over, look, you see, January last year was 25,140. We're slightly behind last year. 2020, let's have a look. Oh, we're well behind 2020. And we pick a year that isn't COVID. Here we are, 32,370 from 2019 versus 25,000. So we're falling. So at the moment, car sales are falling year on year. You can just extrapolate from that in a blink of an eye that car sales are essentially falling year on year. If I compare 2019 to 2021 in total year sales, we are down by 10.4%. Prove it. So that's 2019, 2021. We're down overall by 10.4%. We're up in the second half of the year, and that's only because lockdown ends. So essentially car sales are falling. So getting new cars on the market, getting new, what would I say? So getting new cars out there that will supply the market quick enough is impossible at the moment. That's our biggest problem right now. I have not driven a new IDs yet from Volkswagen. I was actually away with BMW in Spain when Volkswagen did ask me to come up to the UK to have a look at that, the new ID Buzz, but I haven't driven it yet. No, not yet. Window beer review. That sounds interesting. Do you sit in a window just review beer? Anyway, hiya. How's it going? Please like and share. Please like and share my channel. Thanks, Window Beer Review. Just need to get cars like Fred Flintstone. Well, that's where bicycles come in. So, I think the dream of Eamon Ryan is for us all to be cycling. Let's go back to the 50s, lads. And we'll all cycle bikes like we should be. I wrote an article this morning for a Garda magazine. The Gardaí have beautifully invited me to write an article for them about their fleet and their cars over years. So I kind of boned up this morning on the fleet of Garda cars over all the years. And of course they started out with bicycles before the Dublin Metropolitan Police back in the mid-20s donated it or kind of handed over the last of the Dublin Metropolitan Police before they became on Garda Síochána was Model T Fords, believe it or not. That's what they had. That's what they used to drive around in at the time. And the kind of staying with Ford throughout all of the years hasn't really changed. They still favour Ford cars up until the kind of mid 2000s, I suppose. There was a dabbling a bit with Renault in the middle of it, but that was just, it was only a dabble. Anyway, it is time to move on for Done Deal. We knew to do a little bit of Done Deals today. So what I was asked during the week was best first used car between two prices, all that sort of stuff. Excuse my voice is breaking a little bit. I've had COVID during the week and it has actually had an effect on my speaking voice and stuff, so it is kind of cracking a little bit. Billy says Irish government keep moving VRT based on emissions. The manufacturers already have EU targets to hit. If government stop messing with VRT, left strong EV grants in place, the EV will more than happen naturally. Naturally is the key. VRT does distort the price of cars here, which is our biggest issue at the moment. Really kills me. There's the biggest problem we have at all times, is how much money we actually spend on taxes in this country. It would frighten you. It would really, really frighten you. What I want to look at, what I was asked today was, what would I buy between 10 and 25 grand in Ireland in cars, which isn't, I'm telling you now, there isn't many of them. But anyway, we'll just clear off that for a second and we can go over to have a look at Done Deal. So what I've done is put in, the price that I put in has between 10 and 25,000 here. And now these are spotlight ads, which are kind of like sponsored ads. So you kind of have to sort of ignore some of them because they've been paid to be at the top, right? But I get it. I understand. Computer 2008. But look at this. Look at the price of that thing. That is a 2016. I know it's a huge spec. I get it. But like, come on. A 2016 car for 21,950 quid. And I know it's Scirocco. I get it. But it's still very expensive. But nonetheless, look at the price of that one. 2014 Skoda Octavia, 10,000. But what would I actually buy? What would I get out of page one? What would I get out of? There's a nice 1.9 T. It's a 1.6. Forget it. Don't like 1.6s. They're economical, but they're kind of boring. Then a brace of Nissans. God, lads, there isn't much on that list. Look at the Striker. I'd buy the Striker. That's what I'd do. Let's have a 2010 1.6 petrol Striker. That's what we're looking at. Now we're talking. Ah. That'd be cool. You can enter the championships with that. They're little drift cars. Oh, it's a Toyota twin cam engine as well. Bloody hell. That's a savage looking machine. That's much more rare than I thought it was going to be. We found rarity already. 12.5 grand. And it's a petrol convertible, it says there, but it's not a convertible. I'm starting to cough a little bit. My voice is not going to last 2 hours or anything today somehow. Just is not going to last. I feel it already coming through me. It's just leftover. I tested negative for the last couple of days, so I don't have COVID or anything like that. It's just leftover, kind of blocked up nose. And I took Strepsils and Lemsip and everything, but I don't know if I'm going to talk for the full 2 hours today. So I might have to cut this just a tiny bit short. I do apologise, but I will try to be longer later. If you had 40 grand, what car would you buy right now? There's new. Have you looked at 40 grand cars for new? There's not that many of them. Cars are really expensive. Like, to get something good these days, you kind of start at 50. Like, even electric cars and sort of stuff is all up over the 50 mark to get an interesting. But let's have a look. We'll have a look at 40 grand cars. 40 and 40. Straight in at the top, actually, there's a Mercedes-Benz CLS. Look at that. Straight in. 40 grand exactly. That is a nice car. They are very, very handsome cars. It's an AMG Line 1 as well. It's a CLS 220 diesel. Very clean car. Very good looking car. That's literally like just to the top of the list and just looks very well. There's a Mustang in here as well. It's an EcoBoost one, which is like, you'd be sitting at the traffic light someday in that EcoBoost car and a Mustang 5-litre V8 would pull up beside you, and you'd always be slightly disappointed in yourself if you didn't buy the 5-litre V8 one. You know what I mean? Just in your heart you go, I should have bought the 5-litre V8. But looking at 40 grand, being honest with you, there really isn't that much. I don't know where he's at. Oh, to order video tour, right? That's Fitzpatrick. I was going to say, where's he getting that for 40 grand? But that's obviously all the grants and everything taken off. It's Kia Sportage. It's a good car, 1.6 petrol. There's an Audi A5 there. There's really not much in the 40 grand mark. You can obviously stretch the numbers out a little bit, and you would get a little bit further along and find a few more results. But for 40 grand, it's not much, is it? The company are supposed to work for us, but what Eamon and Ryan is working on life make harder, more expensive. Rob, you're spot on. I think at this stage, it's a tough one, a very, very tough one for everybody to try and find the new CO2 levels. And spend hundreds of thousands on your house insulating it. And we were looking at it the other night trying to figure out, could we put in a stove in the house? Because we keep looking at the gas bill, because we're all gas here. So I have a gas boiler, that all the house is gas. Everything is heated here, water's heated here by gas. I do have an immersion, but it's heated by gas when you put on the heaters, the rads on the wall. It's all gas mix. And gas is really expensive right now. So we keep looking around going, what else can we do? It's cheaper for me to plug in a little finned oil-filled radiator into a socket and run that for a few hours to warm a room up than it is to run the gas to heat the whole house up. So what do you do? So we looked at stoves. Fitting a stove into the house. About 4 grand, I think, to fit the whole stove entirely, including, because we don't have a chimney. So we had to put in a big chimney on the outside. Then your house insurance changes because you have a live fire in the house. And then all kinds of headaches happen. It just started to hurt me then. I used to have a Flintstone car called a Morris Marina, Halls and Flora Standard. I had one of them as well. My wife and I, we used to have a Nissan Micra back in 1997, 8. Something like that. The car was ancient. It was in the back of a Toyota dealer. We bought it for £100, two of us. We were broke. We did nothing. But we bought it for £100, and it had a hole, so the door had been hit, the driver's door had been hit, or it had been rubbed up against something and bent, and it allowed the breeze to come in around the door. So the breeze be on your leg. You turn the heater up, breeze be on your leg when you're driving along the road. The 2 windshield wipers went ping over the top of the window one night. Both of them came off in one go on a rainy evening. The back brake seized up in front of a guard, actually. He's driving on the road. Back brake was sat down on the road. The car, the handbrake came on. It just had full of trouble. It was a troubled car, but it cost us nothing. And we loved it. It was called Daisy. We loved the car, actually. Didn't even forgive it a cutting it short today. I didn't mind stuff. You can mind my voice. I'm afraid that I won't be able to speak for the rest of the week. Every time I finish on a Sunday service after doing the full 2 hours, I end up not being able to talk for half an hour afterwards anyway. Because you just talk, there's no ad breaks, there's no nothing in the middle of this. So it is a tough one to keep on going. But today, I can feel my voice starting to just close up ever so slightly with every sip of little bit of lemon juice that I have. So I am going to cut it short today. That we've been on for an hour already. And I am going to cut a little bit short because I'm not feeling 100%. I still feel a little bit crap today. And I need to get over this cold. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. As per usual, spread the word. We're going to be back next week. As you would. Are we going back next week? What's on this Sunday? Something right now. Let me just check, make sure. Because I know this Saturday, I cleared it off screen there first. Before we go, this Saturday I am doing the Run Amok Challenge in Nace. So we're climbing on obstacle courses and running around the place and doing crazy stuff. I'm going with Mazda over to Frankfurt to have a look at a new car over there. later on the week, and then I'm doing the Run Amok thing on Saturday. So if you're on around Run Amok on Saturday in Naas, I'll be there, covered to the head to toe in muck and crap from running around, if I've recovered by then. So I should be back as per normal, back next Sunday. We'll try it again. There's Dave McCarthy as well. Neighbours of my parents fitted a wood burning stove about 10 years ago. The flues run throughout the house. They're always warm. That's what I'm thinking as well. That's exactly what I was thinking of doing, was literally fitting a little wood burning stove in the corner of the kitchen down there, and just putting it out to the wall and up the wall outside and leave it alone. Anyway, yes, my larynx is closing up. I am sorry I have to cut it a little bit short today, but I'll be back next week as normal, hopefully fit and strong and very happy and ready to go again. Thank you very much for the donations today and for your company. I'd love to have you aboard for more stuff. Thank you very much for joining me, and until the next time, I'll see you on the far side.